Pastor.
It's a Thursday. Good morning and welcome. I'm Kayla Megwa.
Why is somebody counting down like that?
Yes. One more.
Don't be too sure. Don't be too sure.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I'm sure you're wondering what we're talking about. This news behind the scenes, and we'll leave it there. But let us, well, you can say we're counting down towards the weekend. And hey, who doesn't like the weekend, especially when we're looking at this weather? But right now, before we get to the weekend, we know that we do have very serious matters in our hands to discuss. And on this program, we're still focusing very strongly on the report recently released by the National Human Rights Commission, the NHRC, talking about their July dashboard on the complaints and reports of, well, I say, yeah, reports on human rights received in the month of July. First and foremost, if you take a quick look at that, you see that they received a 10% increase from June on complaints of human rights. They say it's at 331,035 complaints. They saw a spike in killings, especially vigilantes and children. Kidnappings went up by at least 15%. They say North Central leads with at least 42% of cases, and the key issues continue to remain that of sexual and gender-based violence, child rights, rule of law, security, forced killing. So these matters made it to the front burner of the National Human Rights Report dashboard for the month of July. But the part that we're looking at this morning is the report that they made on freedoms of religion. And we think that even for the month of August, we're going to see that feature very strongly, given what we're already beginning to see. But this was what they had to say for the month of July.
The July edition of the Human Rights Dashboard presented by the National Human Rights Commission, led by the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Mr. Tony Ojukwu. The Commission documented over 331 complaints in July, a 10% increase from June. Among the violations were 375 killings and 98 kidnappings.
In July, we saw an increase in targeted killings of law enforcement agents, frequent kidnappings and killings by bandits, brazen acts of violence by cultist groups, and widespread violations of the right to life, particularly in communities already vulnerable due to conflict and poverty. As we salute the courage and gallantry of our intelligence and armed forces, we call on others. We call on other sectors of our security and law enforcement to rise up to the responsibility of safeguarding the human rights of Nigerians currently facing attacks in Benue, in Plateau, in Niger, in Zamfara, in Imo, in Sokoto, and Borno states, all of whom, based on our dashboard for July, are facing dire security situations.
The dashboard shows that violence remained high in the North Central, accounting for 42% of all cases, with Benue State recording the highest number of violations.
For the month of July,
the Commission also reported attacks on religious freedom in Edo, Plateau, Kaduna, Niger, and Benue states.
Based on our analysis, it is safe to say that the freedom of religion came under heavy attack in the month of July from Edo State, where gunmen kidnapped and killed students of minor seminary, killing a security officer, abducting the three. The three seminarians are still in captivity as we speak. In Plateau State, 2 evangelists were killed. In Kaduna State, 5 worshippers were killed during church meeting. In Niger State, we also experienced kidnapping of a pastor. And then in Benue, a church leader and 3 others were killed in attacks in Gwa East.
In closing the session, the NHRC urges the media, security agencies, and state actors to strengthen institutions and raise awareness as it reassures Nigerians that the protection of their rights and dignity remains a priority for the Commission.
Well, it's that component on the religious freedoms that we're focusing on this morning, because we understand that the 3 seminarians kidnapped in the minor seminary in Auchi in Edo State are still very much in the hold of the kidnappers, and this is causing a lot of distress to their parents. These children were, speaking of, I mean, they're teenagers, very young teenagers. A video surfaced very recently where these children were forced to hold human skulls, or what looked like human skulls, and asked to call for, for help. Asked the people who are supposed to be securing their release to hurry up, otherwise the skulls that they were holding in their hands could also become their fate. Well, this morning we're joined by the Director of Communications of the Catholic Diocese of Auchi in Edo State, Reverend Father Peter Egielewa, who is also an Associate Professor of Communications and Media Studies and the Dean of Faculty of Arts and Communication at the Edo State University, IAMU. Father, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's really, really sad to see the situation in the minor seminary there. I know that it's causing a lot of distress to not just the people in Auchi and Edo State, but also to Nigerians who are wondering, how it is that young children can be sent to school, sent to formation, as the case might be, and this is the result. They end up in the den of kidnappers. Can you tell us what exactly the thinking of the church in Auchi is at this moment?
Yes, for the record, let me say that the seminarians were kidnapped on the 10th of July were actually 3, but on the 18th of July, one of them was released. So we have 2 seminarians right now who are still in the hands of kidnappers. And this attack of 10th of July is the 4th attack that is taking place in that seminary. The first was in October 2024, when the rector was kidnapped and spent several days with the kidnappers. Then on March 3rd, 2025, the rector was, on March 3rd, there was also an attack there, but this time it was not in the seminary itself, it was the neighboring parish. Then on April, the month of April, there was also an attack in the seminary, but the kidnappers were not able to gain access to the seminary. Then in May, there was an attempted attack, and then July attack in which the kidnappers succeeded in kidnapping 3 of the seminarians. Eventually, one was released. So right now, parents are feeling frustrated, they are feeling angry, they are feeling unprotected on why these attacks are consistent, and yet it seems that nothing is happening. On the part of the Diocese of Auchi, the bishop has set up a security outfit in which vigilantes will protect church institutions and infrastructure. And this is taking place, it's happening. In fact, on the day of this kidnap, there were 4 vigilante members and 2 security personnel. But unfortunately, the attackers came in large numbers, about 15 of them, and they were able to overpower the 2 security personnel that were there and the 4 vigilante members. And that was why they were not able to resist the kidnap of the seminarians.
Father, I mean, that is so distressing to hear. The 4th time that this particular seminary has been attacked. Could you walk us through what happened the last 3 times? Were they released? Was any money paid to the kidnappers? What happened the last 3 times?
Well, the first one was in October 2024, when the rector itself, or as we call it in other secondary school, the principal, was attacked. The seminary was attacked, and he was kidnapped. Excuse me, and he spent several days in the den of the kidnappers. As a policy, the diocese does not pay ransom, but we use all the means of negotiation to try to get our persons out of the den of the kidnappers. And then, like I said, in April, or rather in May, there was another attack in which these kidnappers were not able to gain access to the seminary. And then we had another one, so that was March. The March case, it was not in the seminary itself, but the neighboring parish to the seminary. I mean, it's a work stone through from the seminary before this 4th one of July 10th, in which the 3 seminarians were taken away and led into the bush. And then, so the whole area, what we call it Egori area, in Isako, East local government area, has been besieged by kidnappers. And that is a border town between Edo State and part of Kogi State, Ida, and the rest. There's a large swath of forest there. And we believe that that is where what makes it possible for the kidnappers to be able to harbor themselves and launch attacks intermittently into these areas that is where the seminary is located.
So, Father, just to be clear, in the last 3 times, no ransom was paid to any kidnappers?
The diocese does not have a policy of ransom paying. We have continued to appeal, we negotiate, we pray, and as we have always done, to ensure that in many cases, we have God has done miracle. Okay. So in some cases, and there are many cases in the diocese which I will itemize shortly, the priests have simply, or the seminarians have simply woken up and then they have escaped. Okay. So we have always believed on spiritual help and then negotiation. The police also, they are playing a part, our vigilantes have played a part too. So as a policy, we have used other means outside paying of ransom. So
this particular kidnapping case, and just so people can get a picture of what we're talking about, a minor seminary is like a secondary school. So we're looking at kids.
Yes.
So these are basically kids in a secondary school. Because, you know, when we say minor seminary or major seminary, people think it's grown people. No, a minor seminary is basically a secondary school. So in this particular case, have the kidnappers said anything to the school? Has any demand been made?
Well, the kidnappers have been making demands, financial demands, but the diocese has continued to impress on them to release the children because they are supposed to be in school, they are supposed to be studying, they are supposed to be with their parents. They're actually between 15 and 16 years old. So we have continued to tell the kidnappers that these children are supposed to be in school and that they should release them because the diocese, the church, is a religious organization and is not a money-making venture. So the church has no money to give, and we have continued to impress on them. And in many cases, they have listened to us. In some cases, the persons have escaped through divine intervention.
Well, you did say that one of the kidnapped children returned home on the 18th of July. Can you shed a little more light on what transpired then?
Well, that child, I think he was injured. You know, when the kidnappers attacked the seminary, they killed a civil defense official. So I think in the course of exchange of gunfire between them and the other police officer or the civil defense officer, there's some pellets of the bullets struck the leg of that seminarian. It appears the kidnappers did not know on time. So after leading the children into the bush for some days, that leg started having pains, and the seminarian started feeling pains. So I think it was on that basis that they released that seminarian because they felt he was injured and anything could happen to him. So they released him, and the seminarian was taken to the hospital and treated, and he has been reunited with his family now.
Okay. Well, we're still hoping that these young children, you know, will eventually be reunited with their families as well. But in the meantime, what exactly is the diocese doing? Is there a conversation going on with security agencies? Because clearly this has now made it to the report of the National Human Rights Commission, which has now detailed it as one of the infringements of human rights committed in the month of July. It looks like it's now long drawn into the month of August as well. So can you tell us, because 18th of, you said they were kidnapped on the 10th of July. It's over a month since they have been in the den of kidnappers. So can you tell us what exactly the diocese is hoping will happen in this particular regard, or is it the parents who are, you know, taking responsibility for these children?
Well, the Bishop of the Diocese of Auchi, Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Dunia, has consistently partnered with the police in those states, particularly the new commissioner. And the commissioner has deployed men into this area to, first of all, secure the area and protect our people. And they have continued to work through their strategic teams to release the seminarians. So, and I think apart from the police, the Diocese of Auchi, through the Bishop, is also engaging the local vigilante men and hunters to see how they can try to locate where the seminarians are and to get them released back to the seminary and to their parents. So on our part, this is the much we are doing, apart from the spiritual aspect of it as men of God praying. But the police has continued to assure us that they will do their best and that the seminarians will come home. But beyond that, is that the diocese have also tried to strengthen security measures around churches, around priests, around religious personnel in the diocese to ensure that cases of kidnapping do not come close to where these persons are or are working.
Well, Father, we certainly hope for the best in this regard, and we certainly will keep tabs looking forward to the release, the safe release and return of the seminarians who have been taken from the minor seminary. Thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. We've been speaking with Reverend Father Peter Egielewa, who is the Director of Communications of the Catholic Diocese of Auchi in Edo State.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Right now, we're also looking at another alleged assassination attempt on the chieftain within the All Progressives Congress. Joining us right now to recount his own experience is Mr. Sani Shinkafi, who is an APC chieftain and also a former governorship aspirant on the All Progressives Congress in Zamfara State. It's good to see you alive, hale and hearty, Mr. Shinkafi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really, really sad, will I say unfortunate incident which you experienced here in Abuja, which makes it even more troubling. Can you speak to us as to what exactly you experienced and what you noticed when you closed Friday prayers at the mosque on Friday?
Yeah, it is a terrible situation because on my way going back home after the Friday congressional prayer on 15 August 2025, a Parado Jeep with a registration number covered with tinted glass blocked my way on my way going back home. And some men dressed in black covered their face with masks, came out with heavy guns. As God had it, and how God was so merciful to us, there is one vehicle in between us and one tricycle in between us. Then we quickly turned and narrowly escaped. And they were pursuing us with high speed, and we zoomed up. So 2 days before the assassination attempt, a lady come to my house, spying my house, called my wife that she's going to buy children wears. And we don't know, that was an attempt. They are trying to spy how they are going to even come into the house. But because of the presence of security in my house, they find it very difficult to trespass into the house. And they now trail me on Friday on my way going to the mosque. So a vehicle, the same Jeep, but it has not come to my mind they are trailing me. But on our way coming back, that this is how the incident happens. But when the lady came to my house, she was asking my wife whether I have a dispute with a minister serving in the present administration. And my wife told her in reply, yes, I have a friend who have fallen apart about 10 months ago, and he's the one who is behind all what is happening because of my stand on the issue of banditry in Zamfara State, and also on my stand on telling the governor of the state not to negotiate with armed bandits. So I have also been receiving threat calls from the bandits. Even few weeks, the notorious armed bandit, popularly called Bello Tuzi, issue out a video clip threatening me because of my stand against peace dialogue with the bandit. Because he has made mention, there is a delegation from the federal government who visited his enclaves trying to engage in a non-kinetic engagement. So, and that was why I have come out publicly and channel television on Arise TV, TBC, and AIT, and other electronic and print media to kick against the negotiation with bandits. So it has not gone down with that minister who is serving this administration. So he was the one who masterminded my elimination, because it has not gone down well with my position on going against negotiation with bandits. And from the intelligence report or intelligence we have gathered, that minister was using the security attached to him, terrorizing his political opponent or those within the rank of APC who have not danced to his tune. So instead of using the security to protect itself, it's using the security to settle political scores. So these are the problem I'm facing. But I stand on my feet. I will continue to speak on the atrocities and the activities of armed bandits in Zamfara state and also in the northern Nigeria. And that is why I have been experiencing all this sort of intimidation, threat to life, both from the bandit and those people who are on the corridor of power.
Mr. Shinkafi, you know, it is some really grave allegations that you have made right now, because, well, I imagine that security agencies will say that they are still investigating the matter. You have thought in the past as to what exactly could want to make anyone want to assassinate or eliminate you, and you've narrowed it down to your stance on non-negotiation with bandits. But not only have you done that, you've now said that you also suspect that a minister, a serving minister of government, is behind this, and you've alleged that he's using his, how will I put it now, his security apparatus given to him to protect him to terrorize other people. Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, you heard me correctly. I have a claim that I can substantiate my claim. There are some circumstantial evidence to attach to such claims. And at the same time, December last year, 2024, I addressed a similar press conference where I called on the Mr. President to save the life of people of my community in Shinkapi local government, where the same notorious armed bandit openly said he's going to turn Shinkapi local government to ghost town. He's going to turn the neighboring local government, Zumi local government, to ghost town, and also Isa and Sabon Birni and Goronyo in Sokoto State to ghost town. I addressed a press conference, including your correspondent in Gusau, covered it, where I have called on Mr. President to save the life of people of Shinkapi and other Ibadan from the threat of Bello Tuji. And when I went to the mosque, Rabi Central Mosque in Gusau, the state capital, political talks, heavily armed, attacked me, saying that I should stop talking. If I have not stopped accusing their leaders, their political leaders, they want to eliminate me. I have reported this case to the Commissioner of Police in Zamfara State and also the Director of State Security Service in Zamfara State and other relevant security agencies, including the IGP here in Abuja. Nothing has been done. And at the same time, what has happened to me, I reported this case to IGP and the Director General of Department of State Security Service, and also the Commissioner of Police, FCT, and also the State Director of the DSS in the same Abuja here, and also to my DPO in Gorimpa. So this is, I have enough evidence to substantiate my claim that this minister masterminded my assassination. But by His infinite mercy, I escaped.
So tell us what happened on Friday. You say you have, you have sufficient evidence, and I believe that you're also working. You've presented this evidence to the security agencies, and you're working with them to really unravel this. But I also believe that the minister, whom you are alleging here, there are only so many ministers from Zamfara State in President President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. So maybe it's not hard to guess. And if he feels accused enough, I imagine that he also has a right of reply in that. But I must say that what it is that you're saying are very grievous and, you know, major allegations. But let me come to the situation that happened on Friday itself. You said you were able to escape. You said these people trailed you. You're talking about the National Mosque? Was it a National Mosque where you were worshipping?
The mosque in Gorimpa is the Friday Jumad mosque in Gorimpa.
Okay, okay. So they were able to narrow down to your vehicle. They knew that you were going to be in a particular vehicle, and you were sure that you were their target. Is that what you're saying?
Sure, because 2 days before the attack, a lady called my wife on phone. She said she's calling her from Wusetu. She's coming to buy children wears. But my wife replied to she's coming to buy children wears. But my wife replied to her that the children wears she imported from India has almost finished, but she has small and she has a little in her shop. But she can send her the one to select on WhatsApp. Then the lady said no, she prepared to come to the house and buy the cloth. So let my wife send the address to her. Then when the lady came, she narrated everything to my wife. Because when she came, she found it difficult to intrude into the assassin will find it difficult to come into the house because of the presence of the security.
Okay.
So vehicle up to the front of my house. I'm going to send you the pictures of the vehicle and the CCTV footage. How she came into the house. And also we have recorded her electronically why she mentioned the name of that minister specifically. So I'm going to unveil the head of the cat very soon after the security concluded their investigation.
I mean, Mr. Shinkafi, I can see the emotion that you're expressing there, and you're obviously very upset about this situation. But, you know, when it comes to accusing people, you know, that's something that you have to do with law enforcement. You do understand that. It's something that has to follow the right channels. So, you know, whoever it is that you're alleging has done this to you, or whoever you think is behind this, is something that you should take up with law enforcement and avoid a situation where you make an accusation against someone and get, you know, everyone involved into trouble about that. I think you do understand that point. So which is the reason why we won't allow you to say any names on this particular matter. But while you're taking it up with law enforcement, whoever it is that you're behind what has happened to you, I want to be able to go back, because I actually saw that threat from Bello Turuji, that particular threat against you. What are you going to do going forward? Because this is a very serious situation in Zamfara State. Yes, you are correct. We have always heard your stance on banditry. You've always said you don't want any negotiations. That's where you've always been. Some people don't agree with you on that one because they feel negotiations with bandits will create some kind of peace in the region. Just so we can get from you, what are your plans going forward after this has happened?
Well, you see, this issue of banditry has been in existence for more than a decade. And this threat cannot deter me from continue advocating for peace and also continue telling the government to do the right thing in the terms of fight against armed banditry and other criminal elements across this country. Because constitutionally, the government has been mandated by the Constitution of Nigeria, in accordance with Section 14, Subsection 2B, to protect the lives and properties of citizenry and also their welfare. So looking at the escalation or overspilling of this banditry from Zamfara State, other neighboring states in the northwest has done a lot of serious damage. It has affected the life of our people. It has gone to a epidemic level. So the threat issue to the armed bandit, I believe God, my life is for Almighty God. When God decreed that I will die today, I will die. So it will not deter me from continuing advocating for peace, continuing giving my my expertise advice on the critical security issue in the country. So I look at this as just an empty threat, trying to silence me or intimidate me. But my life is in danger and the life of my family with what is happening.
I mean, we're really sorry about what happened with you. You know, it's really sad and very scary. And I know that there's some security measures that have been put in place right now, just so you don't get yourself in situations where you can be attacked again. While all of that is going on, we really do hope that you stay safe and make sure that you and your family are protected at this particular time.
We wish so.
I just want to quickly confirm, given what you know, will you also be filing a suit at a fundamental rights infringement suit at the courts?
Already I have filed that suit 2 days ago at the Federal High Court, Abuja. So, and very soon they will serve those who are the dependent in the suit. So I have already filed the suit in the Federal High Court, Abuja. And very soon they will serve all the necessary dependent. Who are
those joined in your suit?
Well, the one joined in the suit is the lady. She's the first dependent, and also we are looking at the Inspector General of Police and the Director of State Security Service. But later, the lady denied that she's not working with any security agencies. So we decided to expunge the name of Inspector General of Police and the name of the Director of State Security Service. And we are looking on, after the conclusion of the investigation by the necessary security agencies, we are going to also sue the minister if he has been found wanting.
Well, we certainly will keep tabs on the matter, but in the meantime, we sincerely hope that whatever politics is being played in Zamfara State, especially within the ranks of the All Progressives Congress, can be played without bitterness and without dirt, that we are able to agree to disagree, so to speak. We have to thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning, and we hope that indeed, as Kayla has said, that you will be safe in all you'll be free to express yourself, and that the freedom after speech will also be guaranteed. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Sani Shinkafi, APC Chieftain in Zamfara State.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Well, we are in the home run right now. Mr. Laulu Akonde is with us in the studios. I'm sure that you must have been... Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good to see you again.
I'm sure you must have been following conversations which we had with the Reverend Father from Auchi in Edo State, and also with Mr. Shinkafi, who spoke to us virtually. And with Mr. Shinkafi in particular, before now we thought we had left this phase of politics where people were alleging assassination or people were actually assassinated. But with allegations like this, and with the court judgment which we saw coming all the way from Canada, saying that our political parties are terrorist organizations, is it any surprise at the verdict that the Canadian court reached?
Well, I mean, I think we should first of all clarify what actually happened. I don't think that the federal court described both APC and PDP as terrorist organizations. I think it was specifically the membership of the Nigerian applicant who was seeking refugee status in Canada. That application was denied because he claims he is a member of the PDP, and the court found that evidence that were provided by the Canadian government to say that in 2003, PDP involved in subversive and terrorism-related activities in the election in Rivers State disqualified him to be admitted into refugee status in Canada. That was exactly what the court said. So, yes, it insinuates, suggests that PDP is terrorist-based, but not APC, really, because the judge actually said that he wasn't interested in finding out whether APC is also is in the same capacity because they have enough evidence with the PDP to say that they can't allow him to refugee status in Canada because of what happened in 2003, which is a good, in my view, is useful for our politics too. I mean, it's like a weapon that we need to whip our politicians to order that some of this, their behavior is not right, and they need to put their houses in order. That is the usefulness that I find in that judgment, to use it against the political elite. That look, the things that you are doing, you myself might actually be, you may have to suffer for it somewhere down the line.
Become a victim, yeah.
Yeah, because Egbare by himself, who was the applicant that went to Canada, was a member of PDP. He thought that being a member of PDP was going to help him to get the refugee status. It turns out that the guy said that, no, look, you guys in 2003, specifically in Rivers State, subverted the election, and that is considered under Canadian law to be a terrorism-related activity.
And look at what we're now hearing. I mean, you heard the APC chieftain in Zamfara State alleging very categorically that a sitting minister is not mincing words about it.
Yeah.
Threatened or made an attempt on his life. What do you think should be the step going forward, especially with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu listening to things like this? Shouldn't there be a deeper investigation? Because a minister of government really should be above board. Absolutely.
And I think that we have gotten ourselves to a situation where anything goes in our country. A country of over 200 million people, and we are making people become ministers who have corruption allegations against them by, prima facie cases established by anti-corruption agencies. We are choosing them to become
as institutions of government.
Yes, we let them become ministers, and it's not starting under this administration, by the way. It also happened under the administration that I serve, so I'm not trying to make blames here, but I'm saying that this is what we have become as a people. We have tons and tons of qualified people, but we would rather go and choose the guy who has been accused of corruption, or a guy who has, violent allegations against him. Why don't we allow them to, first of all, sort themselves out before we bring them into government? Because it is becoming like, look, anything goes. It doesn't matter. And this Canadian ruling is a signal to all Nigerian politicians that, look, these things that you are doing, like they say in my language, I will tell you what it says in my language and I explain it. Umalei. That means that there is going to be consequences to many of this misbehavior and this conduct of Nigerian politicians. It's important to use that to tell them that, look, be very, very careful. I mean, look at what happened to Okeremadu. I mean, whoever thought that you will find a deputy senate president of Nigeria sitting pretty in a UK jail? I mean, so when we urge our Nigerian politicians to clean up their acts, we are actually telling them to do what is in their enlightened best interest, enlightened self-interest. And I hope that they listen before it's too bad.
Let's talk about this U.S. visa retaliation policy.
Yeah.
So now, well, it's not surprising, is it? We kind of knew that this was going to happen eventually with the way things were going. So now, when you're trying to get that visa, you have to now think about what it is that you've been saying on social media, and all of that. What do you make of the Nigerian government saying we're going to do the same?
Well, first of all, I think that it's a bit of an arrogant request, because it's an invasion of people's privacy, to say that you should turn off your privacy settings to which you are entitled. But I guess, the problem is that, Nigerians also want to go to their country. I mean, you need to go to the Western embassies and see how much of our people have to arrive there by 6 a.m., 5 a.m. to be on the queues, and that is the deeper problem. It is because they see the desperation of our people to go to these places that gives them the audacity to behave in that kind of a way that, I mean, the Americans will not ask the British people or anybody in Europe, that kind of a request, but they will ask us in Nigeria because we have not put our houses in order. But then, the right thing to do by a government is to reciprocate.
Which is so weird because, you know, whenever we have conversations with people from the American embassy, whenever we have a high commissioner from whatever country and we see these things happen, it always feels like, oh, we have a great relationship with Nigeria. Our diplomatic ties go back decades. We have a wonderful relationship together. But when it comes down to it, we see things like this.
Yeah, well, you know, so what is happening in America, which is the bigger context of it, is that you have Mr. President, Mr. Donald Trump, who is saying that, look, I don't have time for all these luxuries, you know, around the world. I want to make sure that America is mainly for Americans. You know, I want to get rid of all the non-Americans, people who are here illegally, and even legal immigration is being tightened up. And you know, the Americans have a right to decide that is how they want to run their country. Yeah. We are the ones that also have to decide how to restore our dignity and the dignity of our people. And that is why when we talk about, you know, sorting out our governance, it is in our best interest. We need to, I mean, people in government need to understand that the decisions that they take, they are not ordinary decisions. It affects the dignity of the average Nigerian. Speaking
about our dignity, let's talk a little bit about TCAD 9. Remember, that picture has been trending since yesterday. And we saw an onslaught of responses.
That's the picture of the president?
No, the picture of our stand at TCAD 9 in Japan that was empty. Someone put up that video, said, oh, there's no one here. People took Esta code and traveled for this thing, and the place is empty. And then, you know, it now snowballed into so many responses. But one of the good things I think that came out of it is the fact that Mr. Bayo Nanuga now had to outline exactly what the president is going to be doing day after day. You speak to us a little bit about that situation at TCAD.
So I think Mr. Ononuga is correct to say that the president himself is focused on specific outcomes in that conference. You know, but that does not then justify the fact that Nigeria, you know, was given a booth that turned out to be empty. So somebody dropped the ball, and there has to be consequence for that kind of a behavior, because that's an international stage. You don't behave like that. If you're not going to need a boat, then don't take one. Don't let one be put out in the name of Nigeria if there are no plans for people to be there when they ought to be there. Except we are saying that nobody told us about it. They just went to open a boat. You know, so Ononuga is correct to say that Mr. President shouldn't have to worry about that actually, but there are people whose job it is, whose duty it is to make sure that that booth is occupied.
So, before we came on air, just so we can get him to talk about that, before we came on air, we were talking about the concept of even having conferences about Africa, and then all African presidents traveling from Africa, going to Japan, to China, to India for one conference or the other. We've heard Paul Kagame speak up again, say, why are we doing this? Why are African conferences being held abroad? Why are they not being held in Africa?
Yeah, well, you know, same whole question of the dignity, you know, where we have come to as a people. I mean, you see the American president will summon leaders from Africa, you know, about 15, 20 of them, you know, and you wonder, okay, well, aren't presidents supposed to be equal? You know, it doesn't seem...
Presidents are equal, but some are more equal than others.
We also encourage it by the kind of response that we give.
Indeed. Let me quickly take you up on this issue of and it's a local matter right now, coming from the international arena to what is happening, brewing locally. I don't know whether they're just seeking relevance or they're seeking to be in the news. They are laughing and the Oni, I don't know. As a proper Ibadan man yourself, you're not wearing your cap today.
You know, I think it's better like that so that I can speak this.
Are you going to be unbiased in your comments, in your commentary?
Certainly, the fact of the matter of, perhaps the first thing to say is that the Halafin of Oyo and the Oni of Ife, these are revered, you know, stools that every Yoruba man looks up to, you know, and that we honor and that we continue to honor. But I think specifically, in my own view, we need to go back to the days of illustrious Obas, like the Oni of Ife Oba, the Soji Aderemi. That was an illustrious king, you know. I mean, I don't think that we have been able in recent times to have in positions obas like Adeson Jaderemi, who had class, who had grace, panache, intellectually sound, and also with very considerable political connections with people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo. But having said that, the truth of the matter is that the Halafin is correct to say that it's only the Halafin that is permitted, even by tradition and by history, to appoint a Yoruba-wide chieftaincy. Okay? And in 1991 specifically, I remember, specifically in 1991, the then Oni of Ife, Oba Olubushe, wanted to make Tom Ikimi, who was the chairman of the NLC then, wanted to make him the Akinrogun of Yoruba land. I mean, this is the Oni of Ife wanted to do that. And the Alaafin of Oyo then, Oba Adeyemi, wrote to Governor Adisa, who was the military governor in Oyo State, to say that, no, you can't do that. And he quoted relevant portions of the history to say that Ife people don't even used to go to war because Ife was our spiritual source, and the Alaafin and the Badons were responsible for the defense of Ife. So where is this idea of appointing an Akinrogun who is like a commander, a Balogun for Ife? In any case, if we want to do it, it can only do it for Ife. If he chooses to, it can't be for Yoruba land. And the governor, to his credit, Governor Adisa, told the Oni that he couldn't do that, and he stopped. So the Alaafin is correct to say that the Oni of Ife cannot appoint a Yoruba-wide. And I think the Oni of Ife also said that that's not what he did. That he was just having fun.
Mr. Kone, we're totally out of time, but I imagine that people should be, taking an interest in history. And we will hope to see how this eventually pans out. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Laolu Akon is a former presidential aide and also the presenter of Inside Sources. Well, that's where we'll wrap it up this beautiful Thursday morning. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Have a great day ahead. I'm Kayla Magwa.